Hi, in this video I will show you how to put together this Jolly Snowman box card, which is an SVG file from Simply Crafty SVGs. So here are the pieces to the Jolly Snowman card. We have the panels, which I already embossed with like a dots folder, and these will go right here, here, and also on the insert. And we have the piece of the card, some panels, and then all the little pieces for the trees and the snowmen. So that's all in there. So the other thing, this is kind of what it looks like. It's been slightly changed since this version. As you can see, it's a little, it's good. It flattens. Let me show you that. It flattens, but it's a little flimsy in the front, right there. So we're strengthening it by adding that front panel. And also it allows you to do a little bit of embossing. But it still pops out. It's just because of the weight of it, like that. So it still sits up like that and flattens. And I made it 5x7 because I really enjoyed designing this particular snowman. So I wanted to make sure the snowman was easier to put together, and it's easier larger. But you could put this just on a flat card too. So the trees too, you could use them for anything because the full trees are there. So we'll go ahead and get started. We also have these little pieces. So we'll do all this in a minute. Let's do the detail work. So I'm going to move all that to the side. We're going to focus on the trees and the snowman. So I have all the little pieces in my little embellishment bowl. If you haven't gotten one, you can get it free on our website. So let me go ahead and dump those and we'll get them organized. So I'll put them into little piles and we'll start putting them together. So we'll start with the trees. I already did the small ones. They all go together the same. So I'm going to show you how to piece together the skinny one. So these two are the same size. So they're the smaller, a little bit wider trees. So those are already put together. So the way you put them all together is to just take the brown one and take the big green piece, or white if you decide to make them all white, which is some people might want to do. Just line it up. So you can see just lined it up. I can see on the other side that it's lined up. And then put the next largest piece down and then the smallest piece. I just like to fill around the edges to make sure whenever I'm doing piecing, make sure I have it in the right place. But these are pretty super simple. And everything's easier because it's a little bit larger too, which is nice. So I like to do a mixture of, let's see how far down this goes. You can make sure you can eyeball where you're going to put the glue, or you can put it on the back of the white piece. But I like to, some people don't like doing cards that they have to make their own envelopes. Some people do. I personally, as a pretty avid card maker for a long time, preferred having cards that had standard envelope sizes, but that's me. So it's easy enough to make a custom envelope, but I'm trying to make it easy. So let's go ahead to the snowman. So the way this is going to layer, the most important part, so you can see all these pieces, is taking the black and then blue, the little white one, and the big white one. Okay, so that's the order you want to go in. You can, we don't want to put the big brown piece on, but the little arm goes right here and the big one will go over the white piece. So we just want to make sure you can do them one by one, or you could layer these together. It really doesn't matter as long as they're in the correct order. What does matter is where you put the glue, because each opening, they do have to line up, else it's not going to look right. But you want to be careful about putting glue too close to the openings. So I think the easiest place to line up is the hat. The hat in the top and where the round piece of where the scarf goes around. So I just get it in place, wiggle it around, make sure that opening lines up right here. If you have a little bit of overlap, it's okay, but you can wiggle it into place if you're using wet glue. I don't particularly like the blue showing through the edge, but it really is not that bad. It's easier to put together. I tried to do it a different way and it just wasn't as easy, and I didn't want people to get frustrated. So again, put glue on the back of the piece that you're putting on, because some of the holes get progressively larger, like the eyes. So on this one, the eyes get a little bit larger for the look I want, but the mouth's the same. So you want to line up the mouth. So there's certain ways you can do it. So I'm going to use this to help guide me, and the mouth and the little snowball at the end of this part of the hat. So I'm just kind of moving it in place because I don't really want to see the blue for the mouth. And then I'm a little bit off here. Just kind of rotate it. And then I'm going to put this big piece on top, like that. So the same thing, you want to just go around. So even if you're just a little bit off, it's not a huge deal. Just line up the mouth and try to line up where the hat is. It all lines up. Then we can make sure it lines up on the body. So now to put the hat pieces on, and the scarf, and the nose and the arms. So the way to put the arms, oops, I have that, I didn't see that. This one, just add a little glue to each of the arms. Obviously don't have it underneath. And then you can go ahead and line it up. If for some reason you move that white piece a little bit too far to the right, you can always trim it a little bit. It should fit into place if you have it close to being in the correct place. So in this one, I like to put a little bit of glue here, and then take the brown piece and continue here, because we don't know where it's going to go on the white piece once it gets there, so it'll be easier to line up. So I'm probably getting a little glue on my fingertips on this end piece. And I had it light off, sorry about that. I had to actually redo this part of the video. My video equipment failed for some reason. Didn't know it until after I was done the first time. So here's the second time. Okay, I say it multiple times in so many videos. I drop things. So be careful when you do this. And if you want, you could piece these together before you put them on. So I'll do that with the hat. So then we have this little piece, so I don't drop that one in the wrong place. And you see it lines up on the neck around that edge. Typically when I start having trouble with the video, it just continues. So here's the finished one that I did already, and you can see how the hat's going to go. That's my little. So let's go ahead and put that together. We have the white piece. So we can put that on first. So you can just add a little glue right here. Just don't go beyond just a little strip, or you can put it on the back of this. Just going to lightly place it. Then I'm going to pick it up to make sure I get it in the right place on the curve before it dries. And then this piece right here, make sure you have it up. I mean, it's easy for me to see because I have textured cardstock. I'm going to try to hold this so I don't drop it. And there's a little indentation right here, right there. Where the indentation is where this sharp edge is going to go. So you're just going to place it right there and it'll fall into place. I'll just scooch it into place. And then this little white piece goes only one way because I didn't make it a symmetrical circle. So I'll rotate it until I have it the right correct shape. Then I'll pull it off, add glue, and then line it up. For some reason I'm off a little bit. I just rotate it to get it correct. Go ahead and move that out. So the last thing is to pop this on, and then the nose. So I'm going to line it up on that side first just a little bit, and then it'll line up. If you can see the indentation down here, I'm just going to rotate it. Oops. So I'm just going to line it up on the top and that little indent on the right there. So that's the nice thing about having wet glue. Just kind of wiggle it into place. So now I have another one since I did this twice. And I'm just going to put a little dot of glue there. Use my pick-me-up. I'm just making sure that the texture side is up. I'm going to pop it in there. So on my original card too, I had some trouble when I was making this one because I glued it wrong. What was I going to tell you? Oh. So on the original one I had, I just used a white pen, Sakura gel pen, and put little things in the eyes, put little, it's almost light reflecting in the eyes. So if you're going to do this, if you haven't done it before, you might want to practice. So you can practice on a piece of paper, something like that. Or if you want something like, some people like to go a little bit thicker. Some people like to put little dots. So you can do little things in the eyes to make them shine. So there's different ways. I like just to do a line. So I'm just going to do this one. And you always want to make them kind of, if you put the line here, if they're looking that way, it's kind of like the light. So I'm just going to go, try to make them about the same size. You can make the one on the right a little bit smaller because it's smaller eyeball because of the angle of the body. So it's up to you how you want to do that, but that's usually like the finishing touch. I don't usually show this too much because sometimes I mess up. But it only gives you one chance, so you can have to, I just kind of go with the flow. So those are my two versions of the same snowman. So now I have another one to make for another card. So now we're going to go ahead and finish it off. So we're not going to put this on yet. What we'll do is we'll put these panels on and put our snowman on. So let's do it one at a time. So let's take these pieces. So you want this one, and this one. So you want to make sure it's folded. Start with the middle piece. You want to put the panel down before you put the snowman on it, so it's overlapping it. I mean, you could put it under the snow too if you'd like. I mean, that's definitely your choice. Try to line it up as perfect as you can. Then I'll put these other two on. So if you do like our projects, this card, I always ask if you could like our video and or subscribe to our channel. And if you do subscribe, if you hit that little notification bell to the right, it'll let you know when we have new projects, tutorials, that kind of thing. So there we go, and let's go ahead and just put that snowman on there. Playing around with the characters these days, and actually had fun with the snowman. So I'm going to add a little glue on the bottom too. So just going to line it up. And if you hear bells, that's somebody doing laundry in my house. That happens when you work at home, so that gives it a little bit more stability. And then we're going to go ahead and take the trees and layer them in. So I'm in a much smaller house than I used to be in, so everything, you can hear everything, unfortunately. So we're going to go ahead and layer these. You can layer however you want, but I'm going to put the tall one in back, so that's going to be the middle one. Oh, actually, I'm glad I do that. You want to put this in first. And the reason you want to, because if you want the trees above it, then you want to put it in first. So that's the other. And it's really important you get this centered. You just don't want this interfering with your, it's a little bit smaller than the insert, so it shouldn't overlap as long as you line it up right. See how it's not as bit wide as the insert, so we don't have problems just in case it's a little bit off. So now we can go ahead, add this middle one. Glue didn't dry that much. So I would line it up towards the top to start. And then the bottom. Like I said, if you want the snow over it, you could always put the panel on after. And I'm going to put little, you can glue it on just like that. Actually, I don't need to pop it up. I'm not going to pop those up. It looks dimensional enough. But you can do that if you want. I'm just going to line it up. It gets pretty, it's a pretty thick card with all the layers. I had glue on my fingertip and I was trying to wash it, but then I moved this. And then let's go ahead and put this last one. And we'll go ahead and layer these. So these have little tabs on the side. So I'm just going to pre-fold those. And then these are all the same shape. So you're just going to place them on the fence. They're all this, like I said, they're all the same shape. So you just place them and it just gives it the dimension for the fence. And I'll just go ahead and finish that and we'll go to the next step. So now that we have everything layered, and it is not your imagination if you think that you're seeing different colors. I actually had to redo again another portion of the video. Hopefully we get through this. Anyways, and then I can get through all the technical issues of my camera that's having. So we have this front, and these are the two inserts. And this is the back. So the decision you have, you can put the back panel on and center it before. If you do that, the little tabs here will show here, but you won't be able to see them. But it'll be easier if you do it before. But if you care about the tabs being seen, don't put this on until you put it together. But I don't really care, so I'm going to put it on now. To me, it's just easier. But some people are very particular, so you can slide it in after and put it on after. It just makes it, it's just more difficult to do so. I mean, but those that want to do it are probably pretty good at what they do. So this is some metallic paper. It was a Martha Stewart pack that I found on clearance somewhere. So we go ahead and we'll flip this over. And then we're going to go ahead and flip these over. So it's going to be this one, and then this one. We want to work with this first. And with it facing towards us, and make sure I get in the center. Let's get this because it reflects. Let's get that out of our view. With this facing me, I have the textured side up. I'm going to fold the tabs backwards and then forwards. Okay, so we want them to fold forwards because we want that for spacing. So it's going to be like that. That's how it's going to sit in the card. So to make that happen, I'll start on my right because I'm right-handed. And you see that fold right here? Right there, that fold? We're going to place the end of this tab to the right of that fold just slightly. You can have it go back a little bit further, and I'll show you another card. If you go back further, it'll be closer to the tree, so you can do that. So I'm going to go right up to it, and you want to line up this bottom piece. So I'm just moving it around. And I'm going to fold it over and make sure we kind of wiggle it in place so this lines up here. So the bottom of the fence pieces line up there. So you can see how it's folded. So now this is facing us, and yes, it's a different color and a different embossing folder than you saw in the previous step. But now I want to fold these backwards. So right here now, this fold right here, right there, we're going to put the end of the tab right there. So we're going to go ahead and line it up on the bottom again. So we want it to line up like that. So you can line it up. And then just make sure it's not going over the fold. So right there, I like that there. I'm just going to fold it over and then place it down, making sure that this bottom kind of lines up with the bottom of the card so that it creates a support too. So now I'm not going to fold it completely because that's still drying, but that's creating the shape we want. So I don't want the bulkiness of this, so I'm just going to leave it off until the last step. So we're going to go ahead and fold this over. So fold it, just kind of lift it up and fold it down like that. So now it's folded there. This one, I'll just lift this up. That has to be folded under and glued. Okay, so you can see my left hand is on the other side. Keeping it down is gently pulling up the paper so I don't pull on the tabs. I'm going to fold that down. And as I'm doing it, I'm making sure that this is lined up on the bottom still. It has to be, if it doesn't fall naturally, it might go a little bit further, but that's okay. So now you see that that comes forward. Just trying to get it as close as possible and flat. And then this one just will glue like that. So we're going to flip that up to add the glue. So the front one goes under, this just goes flat. So I'm just going to make sure, I'm flipping it around now just to make sure it is lined up best we can. Flip it in place. So now you can see, just gently unfolding it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece back right here. So I want this on the inside, so it has to be upside down. So that means this tab will be on the inside over that panel. So that was the choice I said earlier that you could make. You could put the panel on after you did this. So I'm just making sure it lines up, and while it's kind of still wet, I'm going to fold it over just for a second so I can get it lined up. I'm just making sure it lines up properly on this side. If it doesn't, it'll fall into place. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to lift this up and add glue to this tab that's flat to close up the card. So that you want to make sure give it a second to dry, especially since I'm gluing it on a metallic paper. So you kind of can see the shine of it. So I'll show you the other card. I'm just rolling backwards to get it. So this is the card we started with. So with this card, the insert is further back. So if you can see it, I don't know if you can see in there. But anyways, it's further back, so it's closer to the leaves. So it gives a different perspective, actually. So if you want to glue it further back, you can. That's the difference. You can add a sentiment here, or up here would be a good place too. Just don't go above, because it does fit into a 5x7 or an A7 envelope, which is a 5x7. And so we have these two different. You can see how the embossing folder just gives it a slightly different look. But we have this Jolly Snowman card and SVG file. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up. And I thank you so much for watching.